Yeah, it's that man, Gary Anderson, two-time world champ. He's never lifted this one, though, as it says there, two-time runner-up. If you fancy him at 28-1, which many do, good luck with your bet. Joe Davis, I've got to say, I kind of feel for Joe. He nearly pulled out of this event. He qualified for this last November by reaching the final of the World Youth. As we see there, he's averaged over a ton, Gary, for the tournament on 5 occasions, including 4 in a row from 2015 to 2018. He's not in that kind of form, but when you think about Gary Anderson, along with Gedwin Price, along with Peter Wright, Michael Van Gerwen, when he plays well, it's all about him. But Joe Davis, like I said, he nearly pulled out of this. He's had a real bad bout of tennis elbow. I just hope, Rodri, that it doesn't plague him here and he can actually just play with a little bit of freedom.
Yeah, we want to see him do himself justice. We've seen Bradley Brooks, who obviously beat him in the final of the World Youth, really turn it on and defeat Mervyn King. So it'd be good to see another young rising star of the sport of darts doing himself justice on the big stage. He beat Jeffrey Desvan in the rounds of the World Youth before getting to the final and losing in the last leg shootout to Brooks. So he can clearly play. But we've seen injured players in the Grand Slam before. Do you remember Adam Smith-Neil when he'd broken his leg?
Yes.
And coincidentally, he was in the group with Michael Smith and Raymond van Barneveld in 2018, along with Christoph W. Ratajski, as we call him. And he ended up, going out in the group. I think he finished bottom in point of fact. So this is a tall order. If you're not 100% fit, playing Gary Anderson is not to be confused with an easy game. It's not an easy game if you are 100% fit. And Anderson is already into his rhythm. Yeah, 2011, 10 years ago now, a whole decade ago, he got to the final for the first time when he was taken to cleaners by Phil Taylor, as most people were in the early stages of the Grand Slam of darts.
Yeah.
And then, as Emma was alluding to, 2018, we were in these very seats, Wayne, weren't we, watching that most contentious of finals at close quarters between Gedwin Price and Gary Anderson. What a game it was. 16-13 to Price.
Vaguely remember that one.
Yes.
Not the start Davis wanted, of course. It's a massive opportunity for the young man from Brighton, but unfortunately it may have come along at just the wrong moment in his career where he is injured. It's horrible. It's all about timing. His dad, Mark, used to be a good player. Joe's miles better than him, of course. Hope you're watching, Mark, and enjoying this.
Well, Joe Davis, obviously a name more closely associated with the sport of snooker, but he hopes to make his own name in the game of darts. In fact, Mark Davis, a name more closely associated with the sport of snooker, in point of fact. But Anderson has started well. He's been written off a few times in recent years, Gary Anderson, hasn't he? I mean, we've heard, oh, it's all over for Anderson a few times when he's had bad performances, but he's kept rolling back. And a man who's won so many major titles has the class to win more. 2 Worlds, 2 Premier Leagues, the match play, the UK, the Players' Championship Finals, the World Cup with Peter Wright. It's a brilliant CV, isn't it? One of the best of all time.
Well, let's get it right. It's easy to forget the fact that he reached the match play final just last year without playing well, with actually saying, I can't hold the dart properly. Then he reached the final of the World Championships without ripping up trees. Yeah. Gary Anderson is one of those players, and there aren't many of them that can actually win world titles and other big events without playing anywhere near their best. That's how good he is.
And whilst he didn't really look like beating Gedwin Price in that final, he reduced Gedwin Price to struggling and fumbling and stumbling over the winning line just by his presence, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, he kids on a bit, Gary Anderson, doesn't he? When his eyes sparkle and he tells you, I'm useless, I don't practice, I can't play anymore, you know he's having you on a little bit.
Well, you know he's lying. Of course
he likes to make mischief like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Of course he practices. Does so with Ryan Searle often.
95.
Joe just having a a little touch of the right elbow before this throw. I'm hoping it's not a sign of things to come. Like I said, he did contemplate. There was a bailout there, that's for sure, and a wince. Did contemplate pulling out, which would be awful for the young man.
It's difficult to think of a worse injury, isn't it, than an elbow problem on your throwing arm for a darts player. I was going
to say a broken foot, but Simon Whitlock managed to average 104 in a World Championship with a broken foot. That is magnificent. I just hope he feels like that was a good shot and not a chore, because that was a good shot. It's a world-class finish from Joe Davis. And he's just letting Gary know that he's there, Rodri.
Yeah, he's there all right. And it's obviously more difficult for Davis with the injury than for Anderson, but it is still difficult for the opponent. I mean, Gary Anderson knows exactly what we know, that Davis is injured and nearly pulled out. So it's difficult, because you really, you know, against anyone else, he'll have his right foot down on the right pedal and will be really hammering away. But as it is, Anderson can see that too. He can see what we can see, that his opponent has got an elbow problem.
Whilst it's not the same, it's similar to when Berry Van Peer had that bout of dartitis. It was hard for the opponent as well.
Yes, I remember Wolf Civic.
140.
Because as a sportsman you can show no sympathy, but as a human being it's difficult not to show sympathy.
Yeah.
Unless you're a very unpleasant individual, Wayne.
Yes. Was that barbed by any chance?
Certainly not.
That second dart crept in.
100. You require 104.
Even if Joe can come out of this, well, that lit just tops. Even if Joe can come out of this thinking, do you know what? Yeah, I might have got beat, but I felt all right. I've seen him hold his arm a few times, but hopefully the pain isn't excruciating and it's kind of doable. And you may be saying at home, why doesn't he throw the dart softer? Well, when you do that, you can actually kind of make things worse, because then it won't be natural.
Over the years, double 10 has been a bête noire for Gary Anderson, and it is there again with 3 misses.
You know when a player doesn't like a certain double, Rod, when they say, I don't like that double.
That is usually a hint.
And he's said that over the years, hasn't he? Hate double 10. Hate double 10. Does he hate it this time?
Well, took him 5 goes to hit it, but hit it he has, and he regains his lead at 2-1. Michael Smith and Raymond Van Barneveld will duel in this group later on. One of the highlights of this evening's darts at the Aldersley Leisure Village. Van Gerwen takes on Ashton. Sherrock plays right.
58.
We know that Gary's a first dart merchant. Once that first 60 goes in, you do feel darts 2 and 3 are going to follow. And they were perfectly placed. They were beautiful.
86.
And he started a leg with a max. When someone with Gary Anderson's pedigree stuck. Oh, come on, Gary. I was waxing lyrical there.
83.
He's had a 9 darter at the Worlds. Just stretching out and extending that right elbow again.
I do feel for him.
Yeah. They have all the times to get that problem, as you said, Wayne, you know. The kind of thing you want to happen midsummer where there's little darts on.
Yeah.
You don't want it just before a big TV appearance.
When you're on your way to
50.
Tenerife with your mates and you've got nothing to do for a couple of months. Unfortunately for Joe Davis, this is really at the wrong time.
66.
Ends up missing. Double 16 for a 3-1 lead, but Joe Davis not even loitering.
Gary Anderson has now missed 9 darts and a double in the match, but he's been able to afford those misses. And he can afford to miss here, really, as well, with his opponent not on a finish.
16.
And I'm not sure it does what it does to your psyche as you go further on into the tournament.
Yeah, you get time to miss, but you really...
Is it a good idea to use that time or not?
42.
No,
Gary
no, it's not.
16.
You want to get this sewn up now.
He's on the full flag, Gary Anderson.
And those missed doubles have taken Anderson's average down into the mid-80s. He has had 2 maximums and 3 140s, but the scoring has been negated by the missed doubles in terms of average.
97.
Gary's actually looked pretty good, I think. I think he's throwing well. The outer ring has been his trouble over the years when he has underperformed. Seldom been that his scoring's gone AWOL.
38.
But when he does start hitting that outer ring, he wins world titles, wins Premier League titles and match plays.
In that elite group that's won all 3 of those Triple Crown events. Real with the big hitters of the game, Taylor and Van Gogh, and Rob Cross in that group now. Well, the match play and the Worlds. I've given Rob a Premier League there.
Do it, he'll love it.
He'll love that, yeah. You've only got to just go and win it to prove me right now, Rob.
Just thinking about Joe, Rod, we say that it's good for the youngsters, those coming through, the next generation, to get 3 games under their belt on the big stage. I'm not sure that's the case with Joe Davis. Are you?
Well, now these are going to be 3 very tough games, aren't they? They're going to be a real tough physical examination.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about the condition of tennis elbow. I'm not an expert in that aspect of physio, but whether there's anything that can be done in between games to ease it and make it better for him, or whether it's better just not to play, I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, me neither.
But there'll be people qualified to give him advice on that, and he'd be well advised to listen. I mean, in other sports you can take pain-killing injections. I'm not sure if that's a good idea in any sport, really. I'm not sure it's a good idea in darts.
78. Gary, you require 80.
80 then for Gary Anderson. Now 40, double top.
40.
Had to go up and over. Couldn't get over the wall and down again. But he's still, as we've seen in other legs, he's got eons of time.
Yeah. So
85.
For
Gary,
4-1.
40.
We kind of feel that the result is inevitable, but he's still got to hit the doubles. And that's
Да
where
ладно.
the problem lies.
Ну, Гарри тоже вот.
Now he's 17.
Я думаю, сейчас Смит и Ван Барневельд сидят, думают, ах, нам бы такого Андерсона. Но нет. В матчах против Смита и Ван Барневельда будет совершенно другой Гарри Андерсон. 41 очко от Дэвиса. Возвращаемся к пункту 66. Ну, наконец-то Андерсон закрывает. Так вот, пока еще у нас этот матч идет, значит, просто расскажу, да, еще раз. В дневной сессии уже говорил, но еще раз расскажу, кого нету на этом турнире. Нету 5-го номера мирового рейтинга Дмитрия Ванденберга, но это другое. Он отобрался сюда, причем дважды, по сути. Но у него ковид. Буквально за 2 дня до значит, турнира он сдал тест. Сотка Дэвиса, ладно, 67 обратно. Так вот, значит, у Гарри 85. Да Гарри вообще
Szép jó estét kívánok! Folytatódik a Grand Slam of Darts első napja, és az esti programba kapcsolódunk be, és mint látható, a negyedik mérkőzés zajlik már. Gary Anderson 4-1-re vezet, és közel az első győzelem a skótok korábbi kézes világbajnokának a H csoportban. Ez igen, HUN medálot köszöntöm. Szia, Medi!
Szervusz, én is köszöntenék mindenkit.
És gyorsan csak tájékoztatásul, ugye 3 mérkőzés ment le eddig. Ezekről a mérkőzésekről nem nagyon fogunk most beszélgetni, hiszen amint lemegy majd a Michael Smith Raymond van Barneveld utolsó mérkőzés, tehát a ma esti program utolsó mérkőzése, úgy felvételről ezt a 3 találkozót és a kedves nézőknek meg fogjuk mutatni.
Így van, kb. 140-nel Gary Anderson 187-re jött le. Ugye az utolsó meccs is, miről beszéltél, a Michael Smith Raymond von Barneveld összecsapás, az ugye ennek a csoportnak a másik meccse lesz majd. Nem is akármilyen. Nem is akármilyen csoport ez így. Egyszerűen megjósolhatatlan, hogy a 3 év közül ki lesz az, aki ki fog jutni. Gary Andersonnak mostanában van egy kis visszaesése, hogyha meg az utolsó Player Championship-eket nézzük, akkor közel egyforma szinten dobott a 3 játékos, mert itt a Michael Smith, Gary Anderson és Barneveld. És hát ugye nagyon sokan várják ugye Barneveld visszatérését, mert azért, hogyha azt veszik alapul, mostanában ez a egyik ilyen nagy torna, ahol láthatjuk őt. 60-as. 80 ponttal ad is a győzelemért Gary Anderson, ez fölötte, dupla 20, megoldja második nyíllal. Úgyhogy ezzel megnyeri 5-1-re az első csoportmeccsét. A legaránynak köszönhetően nagyon-nagyon jó helyen fog állni a csoportba, ha csak valami csoda nem történik majd, mert szerintem azért Michael Smith és Barneveld egy szoros meccset fognak játszani. Úgyhogy hát ez volt így a Gary Anderson Joe Davis összecsapás. A következő meccsünk majd Michael van Gerwen Lisa Ashton. Tehát az első női játékosunkat is megnézhetjük majd. És akkor egy kicsi szünet, és nem sokára folytatjuk.